Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India expects Saudi Arabia to respect mutual interests and sensitivities in their strategic partnership, asserts External Affairs Ministry. Israel Army warns of unprecedented force in Gaza City, urges residents to leave, shuts West Bank crossing with Jordan following deadly attacks. Iran says it made a fair proposal to avert sanctions snapback from European powers as UNSC set to vote on reimposing nuclear sanctions on Tehran today. And at least 11 people killed in multiple blasts in Pakistan's restive Balochistan province. Good evening. Let's begin with the latest. While India has reacted to Saudi Arabia's recent defense agreement with Pakistan, saying New Delhi expects that Riyadh will keep in mind the mutual interests and sensitivities. Commenting on the agreement, Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal said India and Saudi Arabia have a wide-ranging strategic partnership which has deepened considerably in the last several years. He added, India expects that this strategic partnership will keep in mind mutual interests and sensitivities.
India and Saudi Arabia, we have a wide-ranging strategic partnership which has deepened in the last several years considerably. We expect that this strategic partnership will keep in mind mutual interest and sensitivities.
On Pakistan and fight against cross-border terrorism, MEA spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal called upon the world to intensify efforts to deal with terrorism.
Terrorism matters, we are very clear. The world is aware of the nexus between the terrorists and the Pakistani state and military. Such statements make it even more glaring. We all have to fight cross-border terrorism and terrorism. In each and every document that comes out of a multilateral arena, whether it is BRICS or SCO or anywhere else, you see the kind of support that is there to fight international terrorism. And in fact, there is a reference to fighting cross-border terrorism as well. So, we call upon the world that we have to strengthen and intensify our efforts to deal with terrorism.
Reacting to the recent political developments in Nepal, MEA spokesperson said that India has welcomed Nepal's interim government and assured all possible support for peace and stability in the country. He added that as a close neighbour, India has extended its full support to ensure the early restoration of peace in Nepal.
The new interim government happened in Nepal. We issued a statement. We welcomed the new interim government. Post that, we had a telephone conversation between our Prime Minister and Prime Minister Karki, where we have reiterated and reaffirmed our steadfast support to Nepal, that we'll ensure all support in terms of establishing peace and stability. We are, as a development partner, as a fellow democracy, and as a close neighbor, we have extended all support to Nepal so that there is early restoration of peace and stability in the country. And it is a relationship where we'll be working together for the progress and prosperity of the peoples of the two countries.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a telephonic call from the Prime Minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, on Friday. Sharing warm wishes on Prime Minister Modi's birthday, Prime Minister Mitsotakis conveyed Greece's support for the early conclusion of a mutually beneficial India-EU free trade agreement and for the success of the AI Impact Summit to be hosted by India in 2026. Both the leaders discussed on a range of issues and welcomed the development in the existing bilateral relations across sectors such as trade, investment, technology, shipping, defense, security, connectivity and people-to-people ties, and reaffirmed their commitment to further strengthen the India-Greece strategic partnership. The two leaders also exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual interest while agreeing to remain in touch. A Sikh community delegation met Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday and submitted recommendations for the safekeeping and dignified display of the reversed Sikh relic Jode Sahib, a pair of footwears attributed to Guru Gobind Singh and Mata Sahib Kaur. Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri was also a part of the delegation. The sacred artifacts are over 300 years old and have been preserved and safeguarded by Hardeep Singh Puri's family for generations. Taking to social media platform X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, and I quote him here, "I was very happy to receive the distinguished and accomplished members of the Sikh delegation who handed over their recommendations with regard to the safekeeping and befitting display of immensely sacred and invaluable holy Jode Sahib of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji and Mata Sahib Kaur Ji. Holy relics as significant and spiritually important as the Jode Sahib are as much a part of the glorious Sikh history as they are of the cultural ethos of our nation. The holy relics will inspire the future generations to follow the path of courage, righteousness, justice and social harmony shown by Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji." Unquote. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has shared an article written by Minister of Food Processing Industries Chirag Paswan on next-gen GST, saying the GST reforms will drive 4 major transformations in the food processing sector. First, GST reforms will democratize demand by making processed food affordable for a larger section of society. Second, they will help MSMEs formalize, finance and expand. Third, they will drive innovation, encouraging companies to launch healthier, tastier and more convenient products. Fourth, they will strengthen India's edge in global markets, enabling food exports to grow and Indian brands to become household names worldwide. Parthiv Neotia, who is the Vice President of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, while speaking to DD India said the new GST has made insurance and healthcare more accessible, strengthening India's economic growth. He said the reforms will provide people with a safety net, encourage both public and private insurance. He added that the rate change will boost consumer demand during the festive season. Take a listen.
We have Parthiv Neotia with us. He's the Vice President of Indian Chamber of Commerce. Hi Parthiv, welcome to DD India. So we are talking about GST. How do you see the recent GST or the new gen GST impacting our India and the retailers and the industry?
I think the GST 2.0, as the government is calling it, is a very pro-citizen reform. They've put in a lot of effort to not only simplify the GST process, but also make a lot of daily consumables, durables, very affordable to the billion population that India holds.
So while we are talking about consumption, festive season is almost here. How do you see with the new gen coming in, the people's buying behavior will be changed or will be impacted?
No, I think India consumer story is the main story that we are selling in the global platform. The way consumption has increased dramatically across different income brackets has been astonishing. The concept of EMI has allowed people accessibility to a lot more things than would have maybe a decade ago. And plus with GST cuts and very crucial things like television, ACs, there will be definitely an upgradation in people's living standard.
Lastly, now we're talking about the disposable income and people's spending habits. How do you see this new change directly or indirectly impacting the growth of our country, the growth story?
As I had mentioned, I think the GST in many cases has become better. They've reduced the slab in a lot of day-to-day needs, a lot of crucial needs. And I think that will drive consumption more. Because affordability will become easier. Plus, providing the safety net of insurance also releases a lot of savings from, being reinvested back into maybe some sort of an investment class or some sort of a consumption requirement. So the disposable income is definitely going to increase. And plus, with the growth in GDP in India, fundamentally people's average earnings will also increase. Those two are quite strongly correlated. And I feel the next 10 years for India is a very strong high disposable, high expenditure or high consumption economy.
Thank you very much for talking to us. With camera person Aditya Kasare, this is Shyama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
And now let's get you updates from West Asia. Heavy explosions were heard over Gaza City on Friday morning, with fireballs lighting up the sky over the Palestinian enclave. The Israeli military urged Gaza City residents to flee southwards, warning it will operate with unprecedented force against Hamas and other terrorist organizations. Earlier, Palestinians were seen fleeing northern Gaza, heading south amid Israel's military operation, carrying their belongings in cars, trucks and carts, while others walked along a coastal road in central Gaza. Israel aims to defeat Hamas and secure hostages, with large numbers of troops moving towards the inner city. A total of 48 hostages remain in Gaza since their capture in Hamas's attack on southern Israel on the 7th of October back in the year 2023. Israel officials say around 20 are still alive. Families of the hostages have expressed concerns and urged for a ceasefire with Hamas and free their relatives. In another update, Israel has shut the only gateway between Israeli-occupied West Bank and Jordan. The move comes a day after a driver bringing aid from Jordan to Gaza killed 2 Israeli military personnel. The Israeli Airports Authority that operates the Allenby Bridge crossing announced that it would be closed until further notice. No group claimed responsibility for the attack at the Allenby Bridge, which is a key route for trade between Jordan and Israel. United States vetoed a draft United Nations Security Council resolution for the 6th time that demanded an immediate, unconditional and permanent ceasefire in Gaza and that Israel lift all restrictions on aid deliveries to the Palestinian enclave. The text, drafted by the elected 10 members of the 15-member council, would also have demanded the immediate, dignified and unconditional release of all the hostages held by Hamas and other groups. It received 14 votes in favor. It was the 6th US veto since the conflict between Israel and Hamas began nearly 2 years ago. In other news, the Israeli military said that a drone launched from the east crashed in the southern city of Eilat after air raid sirens were sounded in the area. Israel claimed that the drone had been launched from Yemen and fell in Eilat's hotel zone, triggering fire that caused damage but no casualties. Yemen's Houthi group claimed responsibility for the drone attack, saying in a statement that Eilat will remain under constant targeting. Separately, sirens were also activated to alert Jerusalem and Tel Aviv residents after Israeli army said it had intercepted missiles launched from Yemen. The conflict between Israel and the Houthis has been escalating, with the Iran-aligned group firing at Israel and attacking shipping lanes in what it has said is an act of solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. Meanwhile, in response to this, Israel has carried out a series of retaliatory strikes against Houthis in Yemen. Spain supported the European Union Commission's proposal to freeze trade agreements on Israel. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said that his country's interest in Israel's actions in Gaza stemmed from geopolitical and human rights concerns. During a press conference after meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in Madrid, Sanchez added that Spain had faced what he called terrorist attacks in the past and criticized the strategies such employed by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to combat these threats. The meeting between Sanchez and Merz additionally focused on topics including solar energy initiatives and the European Future Combat Air System fighter jet project. Moving on. France's Interior Ministry has ordered prefects to oppose the display of Palestinian flags on town halls and other public buildings next week when Paris is set to formally recognize the Palestinian state. The Interior Ministry said in a telegram post, the principle of neutrality in public service prohibits such displays and added that any decision by mayors to fly the Palestinian flag should be referred to the courts. Israel's war on Gaza is a hot-button issue in France, and it is not uncommon to see flags hanging out of windows in Paris and elsewhere. Several French mayors have already announced their intention to display the Palestinian flag on their town halls next week. On Monday, France is set to formally recognize Palestine's statehood at the United Nations General Assembly. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Friday said that he has put forward a fair and balanced nuclear proposal to European powers to prevent the return to UN sanctions on Iran. He added that the proposal was made on Thursday to Britain, France and Germany, known collectively as the E3, as well as the European Union. Arguing that Iran cannot be the sole responsible actor, Araghchi said turning his idea into action can be prompt and resolve the respective bottom lines to avert a crisis. The United Nations Security Council will vote on Friday, reimposing deep economic sanctions on Iran over its resurgent nuclear program. Britain, France and Germany, signatories to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action intended to stop Tehran obtaining nuclear weapons, allege that Iran has broken its promises under that 2051 treaty. In a letter to the UN in mid-August, the European three slammed Iran as having breached several Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action commitments, including building up a uranium stock to more than 40 times the level permitted under the deal. Despite a flurry of diplomatic talks between the European powers and Tehran, the Western trio insisted there was no concrete progress. The vote could result in the imposition of sanctions as early as next week. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. South Korea aims to resolve workers' visa issue with the United States. After the break, we'll get you more details on the East Tech Symposium 2025, which is currently underway in Jharkhand's Ranchi. And speed skater Anish Raj clinches bronze at Speed Skating World Championship in China.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. After that short break, you're watching DD India Live. 11 people have been reported dead in Pakistan's southwest province of Balochistan in multiple blasts. A suicide bomber drove an explosive-laden car into a convoy of paramilitary soldiers in Dasht on Thursday in Pakistan's southwestern tip near Iran. The blast killed 5 people, according to the local officials. The attack was claimed by separatist group Baloch Liberation Army. Another blast happened near the Afghan border crossing in the province, killing 6 laborers on Thursday night. The government of South Korea aims to resolve visa issues of its migrant workers with the United States government before proceeding with an investment package, informed South Korea's Foreign Minister Cho Yoon. The statement comes just days after U.S. raid on a Hyundai motor battery plant that impacted Korean workers in the plant. They were later deported to the home country. South Korea and the United States had agreed to a $350 billion investment package as a part of bilateral trade deal. East Tech Symposium 2025 began today in Jharkhand's Ranchi, bringing together defence innovators and senior army officials. Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan is attending the 3-day event that features exhibitions and business-to-government sessions. With over 400 crore rupees in projected procurements, the symposium marks a pivotal step in India's indigenous defence capabilities. In his inaugural address, the CDS emphasized India's quest for indigenous tech and self-reliance in defence.
India's quest for defence Indianization and Atmanirbharta is central to attaining strategic autonomy in the defense sector. And as Bhatia has said it, it's a compulsion of the day, actually. It's no longer a kind of words which we speak about. And when we talk about self-reliance and Atmanirbharta, I stress always that it starts with these two words. Self-reliance is the self. You have to look at yourself. And so does Atmanirbharta. It speaks about Atman, your own self. So this is all about actually self-realization, understanding, self-actualization. And that probably will give us the self-confidence to achieve it.
Nepal is celebrating Constitution Day on the 19th of September in commemoration of the epochal achievement of the promulgation of Constitution of the Federal Democratic Republic Nepal in 2015. A celebration ceremony was held today at the Army Pavilion in Tundikhel to mark the Constitution Day and National Day 2082. Delivering her address on the occasion, Prime Minister Sushila Karki assured that the government will continue to work with firm determination to address the aspiration and expectations of people from all sections of the society. Prime Minister Karki also paid heartfelt tributes to all the martyrs who sacrificed their lives in the people's movement of the past and the recent Gen Z movement. The ceremony was attended by President Ramchandra Paudel, who is the Vice President of Ramashe Prasad Yadav and other dignitaries. And now let's get you all the latest from the world of sports. India take on Oman in their final group match of the Asia Cup on Friday in Abu Dhabi. With Super 4 qualification already secured, the men in blue will look forward to test their bench. Abhishek Mahajan reports from Dubai. Take a look.
After a high-voltage clash against Pakistan on September 14th, India wrap up their group stage against Oman in Abu Dhabi. With Super 4 qualification already in the bag, this game is about giving opportunities to those who haven't had much time on the field and experimenting with the batting order. Head coach Gautam Gambhir may avoid big changes but expect key players like Jasprit Bumrah to get some rest ahead of Sunday's big rematch with Pakistan. Indian player Kuldeep Yadav said there is no big or small match.
पिच पे उतरते हो तो कोई डिफरेंट नहीं होता, आपके सामने एक बैट्समैन होता है, उसको आप बॉल डालनी है और इट्स जस्ट द माइंडसेट कि आप चाहते हो कि आप उनके अगेंस्ट बेस्ट करो और आप चाहते नहीं हो कि आप पीछे हटो कोई भी स्टेप लेने में, तो हमेशा मोटिवेशन यही रहती है कि इनके अगेंस्ट अच्छा करना है.
Oman face India for the first time and it's a daunting task. Their two games so far yielded scores of 67 and 130 with no batter crossing 30. Against India's formidable attack, they are up against a mountain to climb. But it will be a historic moment for them to play with world champions. India's schedule is intense. 4 matches in 8 days, 5 in 10 if they reach the finals. To manage fatigue, the team skipped training in Abu Dhabi, instead practiced in Dubai, adopting a same-day travel plan. Arrive for the match, return at night and take Saturday off before the Super 4 opener against Pakistan.
There are overwhelming favourites, but real test lies not in beating Oman, but ensuring that the batters get enough game time ahead of tougher challenges. For Oman, this will be a big chance to measure the progress. With cameraman Kumar Datta, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Dubai for DD India.
India's junior speed skater Anish Raj on Friday clinched bronze medal in junior men's one-lap road sprint at the 73rd Inline Speed World Championships in China. Competing against the world's elite, Anish delivered a remarkable performance, clocking 39.714 seconds to secure a podium finish. Now, this victory marks a monumental achievement for the young athlete as he becomes the first Indian to win a medal in one-lap road sprint junior category. The World's Bedahai is a prestigious global event that witnessed participation from 42 countries, bringing together the fastest and most skilled junior and senior speed skaters in the world. This highly competitive championship serves as the ultimate platform for the athletes seeking to compete at the pinnacle of roller sports and a showcase of the sport's growing global reach. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.